Hey guys, this is Non-Lammers of Invoked 101, and this is a video that, if you've been in the Discord, you've been knowing that this was going to happen. Real quick, before I actually start anything, I want to give a big shout out to our Patreon, Shinmo. Oh my god, this deck actually wouldn't exist without him. By being our Patreon, he allowed me to finish off this deck, and I'm super excited to have it done. This is a deck I've wanted to play for since all the new stuff came out, and you know, I had some friends who had some of the other cards. I was like, you know what, I'll finish it, and thanks to Shinmo, I was able to put everything together and get the entire deck done. So thank you, Shinmo. And but anyways, this is GraveKeepers. This is a deck I wanted to get done out back when the stuff first came out, and I almost did. I was pretty close. I just didn't have recruiters and a few other cards, but a bunch of stuff came in, and it is all here. So I'm gonna set the extra deck aside. I'm gonna set the spells and trap aside, and like I mentioned, there is a link to our Patreon down below, and there might even be a link to our Discord down below. I may have updated that, so be sure to check that out. But anyways, without further ado, we're going to talk about the GraveKeepers. So the first monster I'm playing is one of the new ones from Soul Fusion. This is GraveKeeper's Headman. If this card is summoned, you can target a level 4 GraveKeeper's monster in your graveyard, special summon it in attack position or face down defense. You can only use this effect of Headman once per turn. This effect is unaffected by Necro Valley. So what really sucks is that he can't get a level 4 or lower, because I know GraveKeepers have a couple level 3s besides Headman, including one of their best monsters. But being able to grab a level 4 is still pretty okay, and I play 3. I kind of maxed out on the new ones, but Headman I feel is pretty okay. And then we have 3 GraveKeeper Spiritualist is a 15/15 level 4 dark spellcaster. All these guys are spellcasters. And then during your main phase, if Necro Valley is on the field, you can fusion summon 1 spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck using this card you control, and other monsters from your hand or field as fusion materials. You can only use this effect of Spiritualist once per turn. So kind of sucks that it needs Necro Valley on field. That's kind of like the big cincher for this deck, is that like it does need a lot of the effects need Necro Valley on the field to activate and resolve. But Spiritualist being able to fusion summon any spellcaster is pretty neat, but really there's only 1 monster, and I like to play 3. That's just me though. Next up, we have 3 GraveKeepers Recruiters. I am just using the ones from the Speed Duel deck because you can still use Speed Duel cards in the TCG. It's just not cross-compatible the other way around. But 3 GraveKeepers Recruiters. If this card you control is sent to your graveyard, add a GraveKeepers monster with 15 or less defense from your deck to your hand. So since a lot of the GraveKeepers actually do have 1500 or less defense, except for Spy, this guy can search a vast majority of the stuff, and he can actually, you can trigger him by linking him away. If he's on the field, when you fuse with Spiritualist, he activates. It's just, there's plenty of ways to get him to trigger. And sure, he is a little slower nowadays, but he's not too slow that we still don't want to play him. Next up, I am playing 3 GraveKeepers Commandant. This is the weird one, that he's the exception to the rule. He is a Earth spellcaster instead of the Dark spellcasters like the rest of the GraveKeepers, and I'm not still totally sure why. But you can discard, his effect is you can discard this card to the graveyard, add 1 Necro Valley from your deck to your hand. Very, very useful. He's actually the reason we don't play Terraforming in the deck, is because we have 3 of this, and just being able to get him into the graveyard. And then you can use Headman to bring him back and instantly have 2 monsters and a Necro Valley. He's 21 when Necro Valley is on the board, so he's actually our biggest normal summon, our biggest monster in the deck while Necro Valley is on the board, so that's pretty nice. After him, I'm playing 3 GraveKeeper Spy. I know Spy's a little slow and a little outdated, but being a flip monster, but you can't really get around his whole effect of being able to summon a GraveKeeper with 15 or less attack from the deck, which can be Headman, who can instantly bring out something from the graveyard, which is pretty nice. And then after that, our last GraveKeeper we run 3 of is 3 Heretic. I actually became not a very big fan of Heretic because I found out that, so originally the reason I was playing Heretic was because he was an 1800 Gravekeeper, so I was like, oh sweet, he'll be a 23 normal summon, and it's like, yeah, he's unaffected by stuff. I was like, that's awesome. Learned he's unaffected by Necro Valley, so he's always an 1800, which really sucks. It really does, because it would be nice if he was, you know, a 2300 normal summon. But So I might find something that I can replace this with, but until then, I'll be playing the Heretics. And then after that, these two are just preference Gravekeepers. I play these guys just because either there was a card I was missing or I just like them. And in the case of I just like them, that's Gravekeeper Nobleman. I just love the artwork on this. And also it combos with, what's it called? The Spy. Because if this card says, when this card you control is destroyed by battle with an opponent's attacking monster and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Gravekeeper from your deck and face down defense position except Nobleman. So there's that. And then we have Gravekeeper's Descendant, who is a 15/12, and his effect is you contribute one face-up Gravekeeper monster you control except this card to destroy one card your opponent controls. So not awful. He actually might be my replacement for Heretic at some point, and I might just cut Heretic to 1, but I do not know yet. But after that, that's it for the monsters. It's 20 monsters. 20 monsters and 20 spells and traps. So we'll set the monsters off to the side and we'll bring in the spells and traps. So it wouldn't be a Gravekeeper's deck without 3 Necro Valley. So Necro Valley is pretty cool. I have the 1 common and the 2 dual sagas. But this is our current version of Necro Valley. Necro Valley has like 15 different erratas. It's crazy. But the current effect of Necro Valley is all Gravekeeper monsters gain 500 attack and defense. Cards in the graveyard cannot be banished. Negate any card effect that would move a card in the graveyard to a different place. Negate any card effect that changes type or attributes in the graveyard. So pretty insane, just kind of like a Called by the Grave that's constantly going to a degree. Basically it just says you can't touch the graveyard, which is why there are some Gravekeeper cards that specifically say is unaffected by Necro Valley or can't be negated by Necro Valley. After that, I play 3 Necro Valley Throne. This is another one of the new cards from Gravekeepers, for Gravekeepers from Soul Fusion, and this card has 2 effects, both of which are hard, and the card itself is a hard once per turn. So it says add a Gravekeeper from your deck to your hand, or immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a Gravekeeper. So it's either a double summon or a searcher, which is pretty cool. After that, I play 2 Hidden Temples of the Necro Valley. So this is pretty cool. This says activate only if both a Gravekeeper and Necro Valley are on the field. Neither player can special summon monsters except Gravekeepers, and if a Gravekeeper's monster or Necro Valley is not on the field, destroy this card. What really sucks, I found out, is that if you have Necro Valley and Spiritualist on the field, you activate this and then you activate Spiritualist to fusion summon. During the moment where there's no monster on board for the fusion summon, this gets destroyed, which really sucks. And then after that, we have our one-ofs. We have 1 Royal Tribute because it's limited, and this says this card can only be activated when Necro Valley is on the field. Both players must discard all monsters in their hand to the graveyard. So kind of like a card destruction, but without the draws. And then 1 Gravekeeper Steal. This lets you pick up 2 Gravekeepers. It says target 2 Gravekeepers monsters in your graveyard, add them to your hand. This is not affected by Necro Valley. So very cool card. I might bump this up to 2 because this is pretty cool, just to be able to recur some stuff. And then after that, this is probably the neatest card I got for this deck. I got 3 common German Allures for the deck. I thought that I saw the German Allures and they were cheap and they were commons, and I was like, you know what, that'd be funny to get. So I have the German common Allures for this deck. But yeah, so 3 Allure just for the draw card. And that's it for the spells. For traps, I play 3 Imperial Tombs of the Necro Valley. If you don't know what this card is, this says when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while both a Gravekeeper and Necro Valley are on the field, negate the activation. If you do, destroy it. You can only activate 1 Imperial Tombs of Necro Valley once per turn. So it's a hard once per turn on its effect, but it is a counter trap that is pretty crazy. And yeah, there's no reason not to play 3. And then 2 Necro Valley Temple. I don't know if I want to play this at 3 yet, but I have Mio was talking about bumping it up to 3. She thought that it could be pretty good at 3, but I like it. I haven't like found a reason to play it at 3 yet, but it is a pretty good card. And so that it says while Gravekeeper's monster and Necro Valley are both on the field, monster your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense. And then it says, once per turn during the main phase, if you control no card in your field zone, you can activate a Necro Valley directly from your hand or graveyard. And then if this card in your possession is destroyed by opponent's effect and sent to the graveyard, you can set a Necro Valley spell or trap directly from your deck, except Necro Valley Temple. So being able to set a card is pretty cool. Being able to get Necro Valley out of the graveyard is also very cool. But so far, this is a little slow, and it doesn't, unlike Hidden Temples, which stops all other special summoning, this does stop... this does just kind of shrink monsters, but it is pretty... Ooh, shit. It is a pretty useful card overall. And then lastly, one Rite of Spirit. This is a Call of the Haunted for the deck. It says target a monster card that includes... target a Gravekeeper in your graveyard, special summon it in face-up attack or defense. This card's activation and effect is unaffected by Necro Valley. And then, so that's it for the Gravekeeper stuff. And then for the last card in the deck, one Imperial Order. Not really for any particular reason other than I had it one spot left in the deck, and I thought that I could just fill it with an Imperial Order. I thought it'd be neat. So that is it for the main deck, and the extra deck is pretty slim because the Gravekeepers don't really need that big of an extra deck, which is kind of nice. It's nice to play a deck that really doesn't necessarily need an extra deck except for its one card. So that card is Gravekeeper's Supernaturalist. So Gravekeeper's Supernaturalist is the fusion monster they got. It's kind of like their new boss monster, and it's pretty dope. So it's a level, looks like a level 7 fusion spellcaster, and its effect, it needs 2 Gravekeeper's monsters, which is met with a Spiritualist and like any other Gravekeeper. And then his effect is gains attack and defense equal to the combined original levels of the materials used for its fusion summon, times 100. While Necro Valley is on the field, this card and any card in your field zone cannot be destroyed by card effects. During your main phase, you can activate this effect. During the end phase of this turn, add 1 Gravekeeper's monster or 1 Necro Valley card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Supernaturalist once per turn, which I think it's really dumb that it's like, during the main phase, you can activate an end phase search. It's like, that's kind of strange. Why can't I just search? This is like, this card came out in Soul Fusion. Why can't I just search a card? I think that it's pretty dumb. And then after that, we just have 1 Wee Witch because it's the Dark Link and it allows you to trigger the Recruiter. It lets you get Recruiter off instantly. So that's why we have that. And that's really it. That's all you really need for the extra deck. You can play rank 4s, you can play other Link 2s, such as Underclock Taker, Space Insulator, Landphalankus, stuff like that. But this guy and this and a Wee Witch is really all you need, is like all that's like super necessary for the deck to function. So now after that, I did play test this deck against Mio, and she actually came up with a version of the deck as well. So I will show you guys that version. I'm just going to kind of lay it out for you guys. So she still played the two one of guys, 3 Heretic. Actually, can we zoom out? Yeah. 3 Spy. Oh wait, not 3 Spy. She played 2 Spy. 3 Commandant. 3 Recruiter. 2 Supernaturalist, and 2 Headman. So that was her monster lineup. She cut down a little bit on the monsters, but still a pretty full spread of the Gravekeeper stuff. And then for her spells and traps that she used, she still played, of course, you know, the 3 Necro Valley that you kind of need, the 3 Thrones, both Hidden Temples, the Royal Tribute, the Steel, and she played 2 Allures. She cut down the Allure by 1. She only ended up playing 2. And then for her traps, she was playing 3 Imperial Tombs, 2 Temple, the 1 Rite of Spirit, the 1 Imperial Order, and then she played a full Solemn package. She played the Judgment, the Warning, and the 2 Solemn Strikes. So pretty similar in deck, and just the big difference is the Solemn package, and that it really does come down to preference right here, because it's just like, you know, it's only a 4-card difference, and it really is up to preference at that point. But it did play, it it played pretty well, much like the original version. But this is what Mio came up with when she was playing around with Gravekeepers and reading over their stuff. So that's kind of like, you know, player's choice which one you want to play. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. This deck is super fun. I'm very excited to add this deck to my collection. I always like adding new decks to the ones that I have. I think one of the really cool parts about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that you can pick up a deck like Gravekeepers that, you know, was made 10 years ago and got a structure deck during the 5Ds era, but, and it still, you know, plays. You can still play it in tournament and whatnot. I think that's amazing that you can still do that with Yu-Gi-Oh! And I also think that it's one of the most fun things you can do in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just play a deck you haven't played before, and that's kind of what Gravekeepers are for me. They're just a deck I didn't originally have like an interest in, and then, you know, like once I saw the new stuff and I was like, you know what, I have a lot of this new stuff, maybe I should just build a deck, and I put it together, I played it, and it was amazing. But like I said, big shout out to Shinmo for helping me finish this deck and for being our Patreon. A super awesome guy. And then, so we have a link to our Patreon in the description if you guys want to check that out and you also want to help us finish some decks. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.